Hi everyone, long time no see. My name is Charles, and today on my channel I'm going to be talking about my top 10 movies of the year 2023. 2023 felt long and short at the same times, and when it comes to the movies, there were a lot of high points. Well, a lot, let's not say a lot. Let's say there were a lot of solid movies throughout the year, but there were only a few movies that really got me in my feelings, really touched me, really made me feel, the feelings, any feelings, like the range of feelings. But yeah, this year, in my opinion, was not the best, but it wasn't the worst. It was just kind of mediocre. But you know what? There were still a good amount of movies that I really liked, and I'm gonna share those movies with you today. And yes. Quick disclaimer. Is that the word disclaimer? I guess it is disclaimer, but I'm kind of sick right now. I don't know what I was doing in the past 2 days that got me a bit sick, but I'm kind of feeling bleh right now, so my mind's kind of foggy. So it's probably going to be even messier than usual, but I really want to get this video out before the end of the year, so I'm doing it. So just ignore me if I'm being like distant or I'm not saying something correctly because my mind is probably not processing it properly. Before I get into, my top 10 movies of the year, let me just give quick shout outs to movies like Joyride and The Color Purple. And what else would I like to shout out? No, nothing else really comes to mind. Joyride I thought was really funny, and The Color Purple I thought was very touching, but that movie could have been directed better. Sorry to the director Blitz, cannot pronounce his last name, but that movie felt like a bunch of music videos strung together, which was a minus. But the acting and the writing were the best parts of that movie. So The Color Purple, it was good, but could have been better, which is why I did not make this list. But yeah, my top 10 movies of this year, I'm pretty sure are all really great. So, at least in my opinion. So, hopefully, you agree. Or not, we'll see. Okay, at number 10, I have Elemental from director Peter Sohn. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his last name. Elemental came out in what? I think it was Wow, it's been a while since Elemental came out. I think it came out in either May or June. That's how long ago it came out. But this year for Disney has not been the best, which is kind of bleh because, it's their 100th anniversary and they could have used slam dunks, but mostly all the movies, if not all of them, kind of tanked. I would say Elemental is one that got by solidly because it didn't open well, but at the end of its run, it made around almost $500 million, which is half a billion. And usually, their movies that don't do the best are like ending around 500 or $600 million in total. I really liked Elemental, but I guess a lot of people really were waiting for it to hit Disney Plus because when it went on Disney Plus, that's when it became a bigger hit. Elemental has such beautiful animation. Its world building was very reminiscent of Zootopia, and maybe this is part of the problem with Disney right now because their movies don't seem to be innovative. They seem to be just copying one another. I liked Elemental a lot. As I said, it looked beautiful and I love the story, but I just think that certain elements of the movie just felt reminiscent of other movies they've done, and they need to stop being so safe with their movies and, be risky and actually take bold choices that actually pay off. When I think about Wish that came out like in November, that was them trying to be a little bit risky with the animation style they did, but that didn't pay off because it looked bad, and the story of Wish was bad. That's why I'm just like, that movie, in my opinion, although not bad, was not great. It was just like, eh. That's why Elemental escaped it because at the end of the day, the animation looked beautiful and the story was pretty good. That's why Elemental makes my list of top 10 movies. But, other than that, I'm just like, I'm waiting for Disney to get back on the saddle because I feel like they've fallen off the horse and they're struggling to figure out what people want. And first of all, you need to give really good stories and really good characters. Someone pointed out that a lot of the main characters in Disney movies are like awkward, quirky people. And it's like, you need to diversify the kind of person you're showing because I'm pretty tired of seeing the same kind of person in a similar kind of story. I need something different from Disney. Like, bring back writers who are giving you something new because, with Bob Iger back, he's just like whatever makes people entertained. And it's like, no, that's not what made, especially the Renaissance and the re-Renaissance of Disney animation movies great. It's just a whole mess. But as I said, Elemental for the most part escapes like the downfall of what's been going on with Disney today. The whole immigration storyline in Elemental, I really felt that. I really felt what is her name? Ember. Yes, I have not watched the movie in a hot minute, even though I own it on a physical 4K steelbook from Best Buy. Period. Even though Best Buy doesn't sell movies anymore, that's sad. But anyway, yeah, I really was feeling what Ember was feeling about, like, not wanting to disappoint your parent who's like done all this for you. It was very touching stuff for me. What the movie was hitting on, and the movie was kind of not was kind of it was based off of the director Peter Sohn's like own life experiences, which is why I was like, no, this movie has heart and it's touching, and yeah, that's why I was like, it's pretty good, even though, like, once again, kind of felt reminiscent of other Disney movies, but nonetheless, I thought it was pretty good, and a lot of people for some reason don't like Elemental. I don't know why that is. I never really understood. People just said they didn't like it, and I'm like, okay, I mean, you could not like it, but I would like to, kind of understand people's thought process and why they didn't like it, but it's whatever. But yeah, I do think that Disney needs an overhaul, not only with their creative like people in charge, but also like the business people in charge. Because Bob Iger's whole thing where he's like sequels, sequels, sequels. I'm like, that's not what's gonna work, baby. You need to forge ahead with new things that are daring and saying something different and having fully realized characters and not just like, look, we have this kind of character, but it's not fully developed. And it's like, so what's the point? Like, you're not giving the people who want that kind of thing like something really good, and then like you just kind of give ammo to people who are like, this is why they shouldn't be in these movies. And it's like, I liked Strange World, but people did not like Strange World. And it's like, I don't know. Y'all need to work on your storytelling. That's the most important thing with Disney animation movies from like, the Disney animation branch and also their Pixar branch. You need to work on the story. The story is key first and then work on the animation and then the voice work third and everything else falls in like afterwards. But those three things are key to making a Disney animated movie work. And I just feel like they let the ball drop this year for the most part. Elemental, in my opinion, as I said, escapes for the most part. But when I think about Wish and what Wish could have been, it just bums me out. Because once again, Wish was supposed to be like the big topper for like the 100th anniversary, and it just fell flat. And I'm just like, they have no one else to blame but themselves. Sorry, Jennifer Lee, but maybe you should not be running Disney Animation because I don't think you're running it that well. And honestly, I kind of think the first Frozen success was a fluke, and that it's because the songs are what made that movie good. Because they rewrote the whole movie of Frozen because of the song "Let It Go," and looking at Frozen 2, it kind of is evident that maybe these people don't know what they're actually doing, and Frozen was just a fluke, and that was just a hit for them randomly because of the music. That's why I'm just like, ugh, do better, Disney, do better. But Elemental, once again, I must reiterate that I do like Elemental. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, good story, good characters, and yeah, give it a watch. I really wish streaming was not a thing and that people have not trained, by people I mean company, the studios have not trained people to just wait for their movies to be on their streaming services, because that's why a lot of movies these days are doing bad, because people are just like, we're just going to wait for it to be on streaming services or to buy on digital, and it's like, see, you've trained them to do this, and now it's like they're not going to watch it in theaters, and it's like, well, now mostly all the movies are flopping unless it's like something big. But yeah, okay, number 9 on my list, I have Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, directed by Kelly Freeman Craig, the director of The Edge of 17. And this movie stars Abby Fortson Ryder. I think that's how you say her name, Abby Fortson Ryder. Also, Rachel McAdams and Kathy Bates and Ben Safdie. And this was a movie that I was not really in the know of that it was coming out. And when it came out, I was like, "Oh, what's this? It has great reviews." And oh, I guess it's based off a famous book by Judy Blume. And for some reason, I thought Judy Blume was a book character, like Junie B. Jones. It was a very confusing time when this movie came out for me, but I went to watch it nonetheless, and I'm very glad I got to see this in theaters because it's spectacular. I know not many people are going to like gravitate toward this movie because it's a movie about a girl growing up, and it's a coming of age story for her and her learning things about life from not only her friends but her family. And I don't know, I just thought it really dealt with the ups and downs of growing up. And not only the main character played by Abby Fortson Ryder, like you see everything through her perspective, but I thought you really got a good grasp on like the perspective of a parent because you get to see Rachel McAdams's character's point of view, but also you get to see Kathy Bates's point of view from time to time. So I don't know. I just felt like it really handled the coming of age elements really well, but also showed like the perspective of like someone an adult in their mid aughts, and then also like an adult who's like toward the end of their life, like really old, and it's like how they feel and like what they're thinking. And I don't know, I thought it was just a really well done movie, and I really want to read the book, but I'm not really good at reading books anymore, even though I used to be so good at reading books when I was a kid. If I knew about this book when I was a kid, I probably would have read it because it's a spectacular movie. Kelly Freeman Craig does an amazing job directing the movie. I mean, if you've seen The Edge of 17 starring Haley Steinfeld, you would know that she's good at directing. And it's crazy that this is only like her second movie that she's directed. I mean, give this woman more movies to direct because she's so good at directing. But you know, maybe she's only good at directing like coming of age stories. So let's see her direct something different, not like this kind of movie. But you know what? If this is the kind of thing that she likes directing, then go off, Queen, because you know, sometimes people can only do one kind of movie, and it's like, hey, as long as you're doing it well, why would you do anything different, you know? This movie kind of seems like it's not gonna get any Oscar nominations, even though people are saying it's kind of an Oscar contender. And I'm like, baby, get my girl Rachel McAdams that Best Supporting Actress nomination already, and also get this an adapted screenplay nomination because this movie deserves the at least those two Oscars. I mean, if you've seen this movie and you've seen Rachel McAdams' moment in the movie, her moment, her Oscar clip moment, then you would know she deserves that nomination. So make it happen. I mean, she's been getting critic nominations every here and there, but it's like we need the people to, and by the people, I mean the Academy voters, to be voting for Rachel because she deserves that nomination. Anyways, that was number 9 for me. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I'm gonna try to move through these fast, even though I spent a lot of time on Elemental because I went on a rant with Disney. Because it's like, once again, who knows how lucid I am right now? So it's like, let's keep the ball rolling before I like start sneezing and like lose focus on what I'm talking about, you know? Okay, up next is number 8, which for me is The Boy and the Heron from Hayao Miyazaki. This movie was one that I went into blind. I saw the trailers, but the trailers were very vague. So when I walked into the movie, I thought it was going to be an adaptation of the book How Do You Live? So I kind of got a sense of what the movie was about from reading what that book was about. But going into the movie, it wasn't like that. And I was like, okay, so maybe it's like he's taking elements from that book and then synthesizing it into something else different. And yeah, I guess that's what it was because apparently the movie is partially based on his life, and by his I mean Hayao Miyazaki, partially based off his life, and then mixed with the book How Do You Live, and then mixed with like fantasy elements. And it was like, okay, this is a lot the first time I watched it. So the first time I watched it, I was kind of overloaded. But the second time I watched it, I was like, no, I understand it better now, and it really is something that's quite beautiful and profound. When it comes to all of Miyazaki's movies, I would say this kind of falls in the middle because it's pretty great, but you know, he just has so many highs from his earlier career. So he has so many better movies from earlier in his career. That's how I should say that. But like that, this movie, it's great. It's a great, especially late in the game movie that he's made. But it just does not compare to some of those other movies. But once again, it's pretty spectacular. The animation is stunning. The voice work in both Japanese and English are both good. Some people are like the Japanese better, but I'm like, they're equal for me. And that's pretty rare because usually at least either the Japanese or the English comes out on top. But in this case, it's basically the same. I saw this movie in both Japanese and English, and I'm just like, they're basically comparable. So yeah. The lighting is getting bad outside right now, so Washington and the rain, so the lighting in this video is probably gonna be bleh. But anyway, The Boy and the Heron, I really liked it, and hopefully you were able to see it in theaters because who knows if Hayao Miyazaki is gonna be able to make his quote unquote last movie, you know, because after he made this, he was like he's inspired now to make one more movie, and it's like we'll see if he's able to make it to making that last movie. But if this is his last movie, then it's a pretty good way to go out. The Wind Rises felt too depressing for me. That's why when that was his quote unquote last movie, I was like, oh, this is it. But at least with this movie, if it is his last movie, I'm just like, it was a great movie to go out on. Mahito really is one of the best male characters that Miyazaki has put onto screen. And yeah, like he's very complex and you know, the whole how do you live now element of the movie when the climax happens at the end. It's just so powerful and I'm like, wow, you did that, Miyazaki. You did that. Okay, moving on to number seven, I have Past Lives from Celine's Song, starring Greta Lee, Tio, is that how you say his name? And then John Majaro. This movie was one that I was very excited to see, and it did not let me down when I went to see it in theaters. It was absolutely beautiful, and it crushed my heart and soul like a good amount in the theaters. I was on the brink of tears so many times while watching this movie. For a debut feature, Celine Song does an excellent job. She both directs and writes this movie, and it just is brimming with so much personality. But the problem is, this movie's slow, and not a lot of people can do slow movies. I told my sister about this movie, and she watched it. But then when she was texting me about it afterwards, she was like, it was pretty slow, but it was good. And I was like, ooh, that's probably going to be a hurdle for some people. But, I can sit down and watch a movie even though it's slow. But yeah, this movie, I don't know. It's partially taken from her own experiences, Celine Song. So it's a bit autobiographical in a sense. But I don't know. I just felt like it was pretty beautiful. The imagery in the movie was very beautiful, and Celine's direction was very strong, and the acting from all three main actors was great. It's crazy that Greta Lee is the only one who's in the conversation now for an Oscar, and even so, she's hanging on like by a thread to get that Oscar nomination. And I'm like, wow, if Past Lives doesn't get that Best Picture nomination, she's not going to be in that Best Actress lineup. But she should, because Greta Lee is amazing in this movie, and the last scene in this movie when she's walking away after Teo Yu leaves, like, breaks my heart. It breaks my heart so bad. But, ooh, an excellent movie. But once again, I can see why it might not connect with people because some people just aren't into slow movies, and some people just aren't into romances like the romance in this movie. But for me, this movie worked really well because it was just so well made and well written and well directed and well acted that how could you not like this? Especially if you're someone who loves cinema. It is pure cinema, this movie. So many things said in this movie without actually having dialogue stating what they're trying to say, which, is cinema. Like, girl, it's like, show me, don't tell me. And there's a lot of show in this movie versus telling. And I feel like some people just aren't good at, like, reading visuals. Like, some people are just illiterate when it comes to visual storytelling. They can't understand things, even though things are being said, it's just not spoken to you as the audience. Sometimes people need like a narration or like a character to actually say something for them to understand what's going on in the movie. But this movie, it really is asking you to do a lot with just looking and understanding. And once again, I just feel like a lot of people aren't into that, but I was fully into it, and I just felt like this movie was doing a lot for me. The scene that really got me so angry was when Teo Yu's character tells Greta Lee's character that she's someone who leaves. I wanted to like jump out of my theater seat and fight him because I was like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" Like, whew, it was crazy. I was so annoyed with him. But you know what? I should watch the movie again because I've only watched it once in theaters, and I haven't watched it since I bought the Blu-ray. But I should rewatch it before like the Oscar nominations come out because it is such a beautiful movie. And if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out because it's good. And even though I said it's a bit slow, like just hang on and watch it because sometimes movies like they're just like that. And if you want to experience something good, you just got to sit through it and watch it. Okay, number six on my list, I have Barbie, written and directed by Greta Gerwig, and starring Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, America Ferrera, Issa Rae, uh, a bunch of other people like Alexandria Shipp, Kate McKinnon. Uh, there's a lot of people. Um, let's not name the Asian because I don't like him. But, lots of people in this movie. Will Ferrell, even though I didn't like Will Ferrell in this movie, but I'll get to that in a second. So, Barbie, the massive juggernaut that Barbie was. Thinking about Barbie now, I also forgot to say shout out to Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer did not make my list, but I liked Oppenheimer. But Oppenheimer just was not for me. But anyway, kind of forgot to mention Oppenheimer at the start. But as I said, I'm kind of sick right now, so my mind was too hazy to remember about Oppenheimer. But anyway, Barbie was pretty spectacular. Like, it's not a perfect movie for me. The elements of the movie that don't work for me are all the stuff including Will Ferrell's character and the whole Mattel of it all, and her being in the real world and like interacting with Mattel. I get why that's there, but at the same time, it's like I don't like it. And also, it just felt too cartoonish when like she's being chased around the Mattel offices, and it's like you're in the real world, so you should have been that more distinct that you were in the real world by making it, actual real chases, not like cartoon chases. We're not in Barbie Land. So I don't know. Everything in the Mattel section, everything having to do with Mattel, did not like it in this movie, which is why I don't think it's a perfect movie because that Mattel stuff brings it down. But other than that, everything else was pretty good. I know this movie isn't really groundbreaking. It's basically feminism 101. But you know what? Some people need feminism 101. So whatever. But I found the movie was very well directed. It's gorgeous. It better win like what you call production design because the production in this movie is insane. It better win costume design because the costumes everyone is wearing, specifically Margot Robbie, are also insane. And it's probably going to win best song, like for Billie Eilish's song, but it's probably going to get like the Dance the Night Away nomination as well from Dua Lipa. This movie is just so good, and it's going to get so many Oscar nominations, and who knows how many wins. This movie's basically going to be the movie that Oppenheimer is competing with for Best Picture, which is crazy because I don't think either of these movies are Best Picture material for a win. But I kind of feel like that's where we're going right now. I don't know. I just think that Barbie is really, really good. I saw it 3 times in theaters, like 2 times during opening weekend, and then once a week later with my brother and mom. And I really liked it, but my mom didn't really like it, but my brother liked it. So once again, it just shows that not everyone's a fan of this movie, and especially guys. It seems like a lot of guys, straight guys, did not like this movie, and it's like, okay, and they're like, it doesn't show men favorably. But I'm like, I don't know. I think it shows a lot of straight men, like in the stereotypes that there are about straight men, and it's like, is this not true? Hmm? But yeah, I'm just like, Barbie was pretty good, and I'm kind of Barbied out right now. I mean, I love the movie, but I think I am Barbied out. I have the I'm Knuff sweater. I was wearing it in one of my past videos. I think it was my Criterion haul for the last sale that was going on at Barnes and Nobles. But like, I'm kind of Barbied out, which is why I would say more about Barbie, but like, I'm kind of tired of talking about Barbie. So all I will say is that it's great. It's really well made, not perfect, but love it a lot, and hope it wins a lot of those Oscars because it does deserve to win Oscars. Really rooting for Ryan Gosling to win Best Supporting Actor. My hopes are fading every day, but I'm still like, Ryan, get that Oscar because you deserve that Oscar, baby. When is my baby Ryan Gosling gonna win that Oscar? Please. Like, he can't be winning a lead actor Oscar. So it's like, at least give him that supporting actor Oscar. He deserves it. He deserves it. So please, Academy, make that happen. Please. Okay, up at number 5 would be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. There are 3 directors on this movie, so I am not going to name them. You can look them up. But anyway, Across the Spider-Verse, baby, they came back swinging with this movie. It's even better than the first movie. And, this movie looks so good. But then when you read the stories from the animators saying that they were worked so hard and they were kind of treated not good, it's like, ooh, minus points, baby, minus points. You did not have to rush this out like so fast if that meant like overworking your staff. It's like, once again, respect the people who are actually making the movie, the animators, because this movie, if you're looking at it, it's so well animated, but to know that these people were rushed and worked hard and all that and like not treated well, it's like that does not sit right with me. That does not sit right with me. Like, work can wait. The movies can wait to come out as long as like the people are treated well and paid well and the final product turns out right. It's like, come on, people. But yeah, looking at this movie, it is so well made. They really are in the market of, that unique animation style that looks like partly drawn but not finished drawn, but still looks like really well done. They really pioneer that, and it's like, because of the first Spider-Verse movie, like Puss in Boots did that and they did it well, which is why I'm kind of like, Disney tried to do that with Wish, but Wish did not turn out well. They flopped with that, which is why I'm like, they took a risk with that movie, but didn't work out. So don't do that again, Disney, unless you think you can do it just like the Puss in Boots team did, and the Spider Verse team is doing, because it's like if you're gonna do like this half kind of drawn, half not, like graffiti, like all these types of animation drawings in a movie style, then you better do it right. Because if you don't, it's gonna be bad. And as we see with Wish, as we saw with Wish, it did not turn out good. But yeah, with Spider Verse, it is so well animated. But the thing is, when I look at Spider Verse, it's like it's so well animated, but I feel like the animation is what most people talk about when it comes to this movie. It has good storytelling, but it's a setup as it's part one of a story. So even though I really love the movie, I think it's like a masterpiece solely for the animation. I do think it kind of lags story wise because it's not complete. I mean, the movie starts with Gwen Stacy's like narration, all that, and it ends with her. So maybe in a sense, it's like this first part is kind of her side of the story, and then the second part will be back to fully Miles. But I don't know. I just felt like the movie was kind of incomplete. And when you're doing parts of movies, I really don't like that because it's like I want a full, complete story. And I felt like it's like, yeah, we're cliffhanging for the second part, which is like the story's not complete. So even though I really like Across the Spider Verse, it's like I feel like story wise, it could be better because it's not complete. It could have been, even better than it is. But still, I give it like a 5 out of 5. So whatever. I don't know why, but thinking about Spider-Verse made me remember, shout out to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, because that movie was so good too, but once again, brain's kind of foggy, so I forgot to shout that out at the special mentions, because what's going on in that movie is pretty amazing. Tom Cruise putting his life in danger again is insane, and the stunts going on in that movie are great, but just like Across the Spider-Verse, it's part one. Maybe that's why I thought about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, because it's a part one as well. And it's like, I don't like the whole part one trend. So let's stop doing this whole part one trend and just make single movies, please. Okay, number 4 on my list, I have a movie that technically came out in 2023, but did not come out in America until 2024, and that is Suzume, the latest movie from Makoto Shinkai. And I gotta say, this movie is quite amazing. When I first saw it, I got to see it in IMAX for the first time I got to see it in theaters. So it was pretty like big screen, pretty like wow, in my face. And my initial thoughts when watching it were wow, amazing, beautiful, very well written, and very fun to watch. But as I watched it a second time in theaters and even a third time in theaters, I was like, no, it's pretty profound what it's saying. And I just was swept away after watching it the second and third time. I even saw it a fourth time in theaters when they re-released it in theaters here in October. It's now streaming on Crunchyroll, and I'm waiting to get that physical copy. I'm mad that the Crunchyroll people are only releasing a Blu-ray DVD copy, but I ordered a 4K copy from PlayAsia, so am basically double dipping when it comes to Suzume. But Suzume is just so gorgeous, so beautiful, and it has become my favorite movie from Makoto Shinkai. As I said, the animation in this movie is just gorgeous. It's stunning, especially when they're in the ever after. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, the like space where like souls go or whatever. Like that place is so beautiful. When you see it at the start of the movie and at the end of the movie in full, it's like wow, spectacular. Like amazing, amazing. And I really love the character of Susume. It's just a lot of growth with her. It's like she's someone who like seems fine, but as you go through the movie, you see like she's just been repressing things, and this movie is about, finally like dissecting your own feelings and coming to terms with certain things in your life. And the ending of this movie, talk about visual storytelling, baby. Because not only is she saying to you, the audience, what like she's learning all that, but the visuals are reflecting at the same time. That's why for people who don't understand things with just visuals, this movie at the end was telling you both verbally and visually what's going on. And I don't know. I just cry every time I see the end of this movie because it's just so powerful. It's just so powerful, and it's just so well executed that I'm like, wow, Makoto Shinkai, you did that. You did that. Like, whew, he has these moments in his movies, like at least with his past 3 movies, Your Name, Weathering with You, and Suzume, where toward the end there's like this climactic moment where I'm just in tears, like, wow, you did that. You did that. Like, wow. wow. I really could not get enough of Susume. And, as evident from me telling you that I double dipped and I got a 4K from Asia, and then I have like the Blu-ray DVD collector's edition pre-ordered when it comes out in March here in America. But the movie is just very special to me. And some people don't like that third act when they're in the car riding around with Serizawa and like Susume's aunt. But I love Serizawa. That's my guy. That's my boy. So I will spend all the time with him. I know he smokes, but I can fix him. I can fix him, baby. But yeah, like for me, I love the movie. It's perfect. 10 out of 10, 5 stars out of 5 stars. But I can see why some people don't like vibe with that third act fully. But as I said, the climax at the ever after, it like is like so emotionally charged that I'm just like, how could you not be got by this movie by that point? Or by at least that moment. Like, it's emotional shrapnel, you guys. I mean, maybe some of y'all don't have inner childs that have been damaged and need like repairing, but I do. So movies that like are about like healing your inner self and also your present self, very much into that. Very much into that, which is why I love Susume. And also, it's just very entertaining as well. Like, I love movies that, take you on an emotional journey and teach you something, but I also like a movie when it entertains you. And this movie did all of that and more. Okay, up next, I have number three, which, just like Susume, is a movie that technically came out in 2022, but, came out this year. It's an awards movie, so it was one of those things where it had limited release for 1 week in 2022 and then expanded wider in 2023. But that movie is Women Talking, written and directed by Sarah Polley, starring the likes of Rooney Mara and Claire Foy, Jessie Buckley, Frances McDormand, Ben Whishaw, other people in there that aren't that famous, but they're there and they're very affecting. But yeah, Women Talking. What a masterpiece this movie is. And I'm very annoyed that not many people watched it in theaters and also didn't watch it in general, and also the fact that I only got 2 Oscar nominations. But I'm very happy it at least won a Best Adapted Screenplay for Sarah Polley because she deserved that win because this movie is masterfully adapted from the book. I know not a lot of people are interested in watching a bunch of women talking for a whole like hour and 40 something minutes, but I was riveted by the conversation, and I just think that Sarah Polley deserved a Best Director nomination, and there should have been acting nominations all around this movie, but there wasn't. Like, Sarah Polley does the impossible task of making a movie where it's like you're legit just watching people sitting in a bar and talking the whole time. It feels cinematic. It just feels so cinematic. It's reminiscent of what Sidney Lumet does in 12 Angry Men, and that's why I was just like, ugh. I just feel like a lot of people just did not like to hear women talking, and they were like, oh, I don't want to watch that movie. But I'm like, the conversations had in Women Talking are very like relevant to what's going on today. So I was like, can y'all just like, sometimes it's like vegetables. You have to just like eat them and they're good for you even though you don't want to do it. That's why some movies are like that, where it's like, I know you don't want to watch this, but it's very important and you should watch it because you'll learn and maybe even grow as a person. But I just found what was going on in Women Talking riveting, loved all the things that was going on in the movie, like what they were saying in the movie. And I just think all the performances from everyone was perfect. Like, not one person in the movie was bad. And, I really believe that Claire Foy should have got that Best Supporting Actress nomination. I think Ben Whishaw should have got that Best Supporting Actor nomination. And there should have been a score nomination for Gilda, cannot pronounce her name, the lady that won score Oscar for Joker. But like, so many Oscar nominations should have happened for this movie, and it just didn't. And it really hurts me because this movie is just perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. I watch it and I'm like, there's nothing wrong that I can see. But once again, it's one of those things where people, even who watch it, had problems with it. But I guess that's the thing. Not everyone's gonna agree. But personally, I thought this movie was masterfully done. And yeah, it deserved better. It deserved better. But at least it won that 1 Oscar, and we can say it's an Oscar winning film. And yeah, hopefully more people watch it in the future and realize how good of a movie this is. Maybe they might not think it's a masterpiece, but they see that it's amazing at the very least, because it is amazing. And I don't know. I feel like with Barbie, as I said, that's feminism 101. But with this movie, we're taking that further and we're talking about more complex topics and like really diving into why some things are not as simple as people paint them out to be. Because a lot of things in life, it's not as simple as people think they are, which is why I'm like, we got to put on our, analytic thinking. Our brains want something easy, but most things in life are not easy, which is why, I don't know, with women talking, there's positives and negatives. They discuss in the movie about certain topics, and it's like, yeah, no one's on the same page, and it's interesting to hear the arguments from both sides. Okay, at number two, I have Poor Things from Yorgos Lanthimos, starring Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe, Mark Ruffalo, Rami Youssef, Christopher Abbott, Margaret Qualley, I guess other people who aren't really big names, but they're in this movie too. I really was looking forward to watching Poor Things when it was announced because I love Yorgos Lanthimos. My favorite movie, even up to this point, is The Favorite because, ooh, Tony Nakmanera, is that how you say his last name? His screenplay for that movie was so, like, cutthroat and so, like, precise. And the delivery from Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone and also Olivia Colman were also, like, good. They were also, like, on, I don't know how I would say it. They were really in the pocket. They were really like feeling that screenplay and the dialogue in it. They were just like every line delivery from all three of them in that movie was like pow pow pow. And in this movie it's adapted by Tony from the book Poor Things, and I believe he did a great job adapting the book, and I think Yorgos Lanthimos did an amazing job directing this movie. But I will say it did feel kind of slow, especially in the third act, because I would say like the last 20 minutes kind of felt tacked on. At a certain point in the movie, it felt like, okay, we're done. We learned everything we need to learn, and yeah, but then it's like, oh, the movie's still going. And for a second there, I was like, oh, eh. And even though as it played out, I was like, I understand why we have this here, but I kind of feel like we're a bit too long, maybe. But by the end of the movie, I was like, yeah, I understand why that was in the movie, but it was too long. So that's why it's not number one for me. But once again, the acting, especially from Emma Stone, is spectacular. She should win that Best Actress Oscar. I would be voting for her. Sorry, Lily Gladstone, but I'm not on your train. Good for you if you get a nomination for Killers of the Flower Moon. Oh, there's another movie that a shout out to Killers of the Flower Moon because that was a good movie too. But like, yeah, I'm on the Emma Stone train of her winning her second Oscar because what she does in this movie is pretty amazing, pretty spectacular, and where her character ends up by the end, I'm just like, wow, you really showed the progression from like her basically being a babbling baby to like being someone who is intelligent and more well-rounded and someone who like sees the world for how complex it is and how not black and white people think it is. It was a feat for sure. I think the production design of this movie is amazing, costume design amazing too. But once again, I think Barbie's going to sweep those awards. So I really think this movie's only chance of winning anything would be for Emma Stone, which is why I'm like, girl, go off. This movie deserves like a lot of credit because of what it's saying about like women especially, but I just think that they kind of won't be going by they, I mean, once again, the Academy voters, like, they won't really rally too much behind this movie because a lot of what goes on in this movie is explicit. Like, the whole prostitute section of this movie was very explicit. I was just like, oh, I'm gagged they're showing this, but shouldn't this be, like, NC-17? Like, oh, another movie I want to shout out, Passages. Passages was great, but that movie was NC-17, and it's just because there was a gay sex scene that was actually, like intensive and actually like showed more than the usual gay sex scene does. But this movie, you legit see naked men everywhere, like having sex with Emma Stone, and it's like, girl, how is this rated R? But that movie Passages was rated NC-17. I'm just like, not fair. Like MPAA, not fair. But anyway, yeah, the explicit elements of Poor Things, I'm just like, it probably will turn off a lot of voters, which sucks. But you know what? As long as Emma Stone can win that Oscar, then it should be fine. Yeah, apparently Oscar Isaac was supposed to be in this movie in character, Mark Ruffalo's character in Mark Ruffalo's spot, but he had to drop out, and then Mark Ruffalo came in. But apparently Oscar Isaac visited the set every once in a while, and I'm just like, maybe if you could visit the set, you should have been in the movie because Mark Ruffalo was good, but I think Oscar Isaac could have done better. He could have done better. And I believe like Willem Dafoe and Rami Youssef did better like gave better performances than Mark. So that's why I'm like the supporting actor thing. It's kind of weird because I'm like, will Mark get that nomination when I actually think that maybe Willem or Rami should? It's gonna be hard, but once again, as long as Emma Stone wins that Best Actress Oscar, I'm fine because yeah. But Poor Things, it's a great movie, a bit overlong, and you know, yeah, it's a bit overlong, but overall, I think it's a really amazing movie. Apparently, you either really love the movie or really hate it, or just don't like it. And I'm in the camp of I really like it, even though once again, it's overlong. But sometimes like editing could be done. But once again, that last 20 minutes didn't need to be there. Understand why it's there, but it's whatever at the end of the day. Okay, and number one on my list, I have May December, directed by Todd Haynes, starring Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore, and Charles Melton. This movie, I didn't know what to expect when I started watching this movie. I knew kind of the contents of it, but watching it was a whole other experience because of the way Todd presents everything in the movie. I don't think that Netflix was the right place for this movie to have been shown because I feel like when you show a movie like this to people on streaming, they really don't understand the nuances of it, and seeing a lot of people's takes on it on like the general public, it was very disgusting because I was like, y'all, like they were like, this can't be funny. This is like serious subject matter, but I'm like, the way Top presents certain things, it's like and like the way the score comes in at certain points from when people are saying stuff, it's like, no, this is funny. It's just like a little moment of levity, even though the subject matter is serious. It's like, come on, people, let's use our brains and see that things can be more than one thing. Like, this is more melodramatic than anything. People are like, it's camp. It's not camp. It's melodrama. And maybe if y'all watch some more melodramas, you would understand what Todd is going for. Because Todd Haynes and Pedro Almodovar are more melodramatic people in the vein of Douglas Sirk, because they both love Douglas Sirk. But, not a lot of people see melodramas, so they don't understand how lots of emotions could be happening at once in a movie and how it flows in and out. But, people just don't understand, which is why I hated that it premiered on Netflix because too many people who don't have understanding of things, who aren't media literate, were watching it and commenting on it, and I just didn't like it at all. I was like, please, like, let's get some brains, you guys. Todd's direction was on point. Like, everything about this movie was just so perfect. I do think it's probably Todd's best movie. That or Far From Heaven. Well, he has Carol too. He has a lot of good movies, Todd Haynes. But for me at this moment, I would say May December is his best movie he's made. It feels unlike his other ones, which is why I'm like, his evolution, I feel like this is fully him. Because as I said, he loves Douglas Sirk, which is why a lot of his past movies like were emulating Douglas Sirk, but with this one, it feels like his own style. So I feel like he's evolved to a place where it's like this is distinctly Todd Haynes' work and not him being inspired by someone else. But the direction in this movie from Todd is just amazing. The score, as I said, it's amazing. The script is amazing from I'm pretty sure the person who wrote it, her name is Sam. Is it a her? Maybe it's I'm pretty sure it's a her. But Sam, I can't remember the last name, but first name is Sam, but they do a great job with the screenplay. And ooh, the acting performances from all three people, Natalie, Julianne, and Charles, are just phenomenal. They all do a great job, and it's sad that Natalie probably isn't going to get an Oscar nomination because that Best Actress lineup is pretty stacked. But hopefully, Julianne Moore and Charles Melton both get in for Best Supporting because they both deserve to be nominated because their performances are just so rich and so well realized that I'm like, how could you not nominate them, especially after seeing the movie? Charles Melton apparently is one of the frontrunners. It's Charles and Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer and Ryan Gosling for Barbie. And honestly, I'd be fine as long as it's Ryan or Charles. I'm not the biggest fan of Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer because I didn't feel like he did anything that special. I felt like anyone could have given that performance. But what Charles Melton does in this movie and what Ryan Gosling does in Barbie are both so unique, and no one else could have done that. That I'm like, come on, it has to be one or the other, not Robert, because Robert just feels like, okay, why not give you an Oscar? But I'm like, if you're gonna feel that way, give it to Ryan because Ryan has more nominations or just as much nominations as Robert Downey Jr. does. He does, right? Half Nelson, La La Land, and then Robert Downey Jr. has the Charlie Chaplin movie and then Tropic Thunder. Yeah. So I'm like, if you're gonna be like person who deserves it after their career, give it to Ryan because they had the same amount of nominations. But if you're gonna give it to like Charles because it's like he did that, then I'd be happy with that too. But anyway, I'm just like, this movie is spectacular and it's hard to watch at times. It's riveting. It just is something that you have to really digest and think about, which, once again, a lot of people don't want to sit on things and think about things and analyze things and use critical thinking. They're just like, they want it to be so simple. But once again, things are not simple in life. So movies like this, like, make people confused because they're like, oh, it should be one way or the other. And it's like, maybe let's just slowly take in this movie and dissect it piece by piece, and then, like, we'll get to how we feel, not just like one feeling because like how you think it should go. Because I don't know, I just feel like people are so easy, they're so quick to label things, and May December is something that you actually have to think about. And once again, not many people like to think, they just like to feel, and then they're just like, okay. But yeah, as I said, like, this movie requires critical thinking, and I know feelings are important when you're watching a movie, but also it's like, let's think about it too, mama. Because when it comes to subject matter as serious as this movie is handling, you got to use both your feelings and critical thinking to like understand it. Oh, and with that, that is my top 10 movies of 2023. Oh, it was kind of hard picking certain movies because I don't know, as I said, there weren't that many movies in 2023 that made me go, wow, wow, yo, did that. But like, when I looked at my letterbox, a lot of them were 3.5 stars. The movies that came out distinctly in this year, especially. And it was like, uh, cinema's in danger, y'all. Cinema's in danger. We need better movies. I mean, there are movies I haven't seen yet, particularly The Iron Claw. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, with Zac Efron and everyone else in that movie. But I have not been able to get myself to see that. But I have a feeling that wouldn't make my top 10 even if I watched it. So it's whatever. But yeah, my top 10, I'm pretty certain that, like, I probably would only switch out Elemental if I was gonna like think on it more with a different movie, because I had a few other 4-star movies from this year like Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning or even Oppenheimer. I could have switched out Elemental for that one, but I don't know. I like Elemental, which is why it barely makes my list. But yeah, everything else on my list, I'm just like, yes, it deserves to be on this list because they are amazing. They're all amazing. Like, I think Elemental is my only 4-star movie from this year on my list. Like, everything else is 4.5 to 5. So yeah, everything else on this list I talked about other than Elemental is like, you did that, baby. You did that, and you deserve to be here. And if you have not watched this movie, like any of those movies from 1 to 9 that I had on my list, you should watch it because they're deserving of being watched. The lighting really must have changed throughout this video because it's raining right now outside. It's like cloudy and then not cloudy and cloudy and not cloudy. So once again, sorry if the video quality is not good. And if I was rambling and some things didn't make sense, once again, I'm partially sick right now, or I'm fully sick, who knows? But like, give me some grace on that because I don't know. Editing, Charles is probably gonna have a hard time editing this because it was just me going blah 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 for who knows how long, maybe an hour or more. So we'll see how long this video is going to be. Anyways, you guys, tell me down below in the comments what movies you guys really enjoyed in the year 2023, and what movies are you guys looking forward to in 2024, and what did you think of the movies that I had on my list? Because as I said, for me, I think 1 through 9 are pretty solid, and all those movies deserve to be on most people's top 10 lists. And if you haven't seen them, once again, go watch them because they are great. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that this year was pretty weak overall for movies and that we could do better. So hopefully 2024 has a lot better in store for us, because if not, that's not good, baby. That's not good. Well, thank you guys for coming to my channel and watching this whole video. And yeah, hopefully you see more of me in 2024. One of my New Year's resolutions is to finish that screenplay. So I'm going to try to force myself to write more than I usually do and not delete it because I'm getting frustrated. So once again, we'll see how often I post videos, but once again, I have work, I'd be exercising, I'd be watching movies, reading stories, playing video games, and writing. So it's like, I'm a busy person, but I will try, quote unquote, try to make more time to make videos. But thanks for coming to my channel and watching this whole video, and yeah, I'll see you guys around in the next one if you're there for that. So until then, I'm gonna go now. So yes, have a great year, and yeah, bye.